Welcome to Honest Feedback, a podcast here for you. We are here offering advice on alternative perspectives for whatever is on your heart and mind.
I'm Lisset King, and I'm an emotional ninja. I help leaders release baggage and heal unresolved trauma so they can live and love their life with purpose.
I'm Goddess Brittney King, and I'm a pleasure priestess. I help women connect to their deepest truths, their sensuality, their sexuality, and hold the sacred union of both.
Welcome. This week in Honest Feedback, we're talking about polyamorous relationships and how to process your feelings. Yeah. Do you want to talk about this a little bit, babe?
I mean, yeah. So I feel like there's something that happens. Like, okay, it's just when you're monogamous, you can kind of just talk to your relationship about with anyone, like the bodega guy and your mom and like random girl at gym. Like, it's just like anybody who's there, you're like, okay, so this is what's happening, or like he did this or whatever. And once when I entered like into polyamory, it was a lot more like nuance and like there's discernment, and it's like, is it
There's small groups of people that hang out.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's like, is it ethical to like talk about this with this person? And like, is it hurting somebody's feelings? If you like, it was just like a lot more details than we ever got to in monogamy. In monogamy, you just be spilling that tea. And poly, it's just different. So it can be quite the like learning curve and like adjustment. What was your experience?
Well, I've been really blessed in the area of poly, in that I've had partners that were really great. First of all, processing within the relationship, you included, you know, and I had a partner I would see once a week, and we would download for like the first hour, sometimes 2 hours, of like what we were going through. And it was just this really safe, sacred place where we can let things go and then just enjoy each other's time together. But we knew we can turn to each other.
Yeah.
So it's quite beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I am super excited to dive in today.
Yeah. Today we had someone text us,
Ooh.
which is also available to you.
Yeah.
You know, use that number, text us. Some people just like their anonymity, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. But first, take a moment and press that subscribe button, the like button, share it with a friend. We love our community and we love creating the podcast, and you sharing it, becoming a subscriber, really makes a huge difference. So take a moment. Thank you.
Yeah,
so
we really
good.
appreciate you.
Yes.
And share this with your friend, you know, the one that needs support.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's read this text message.
Okay.
All right. You do it, though, because your voice is so sexy.
Thanks. Hello. No. Hey, Lisette and Britt. My question for you today is, I am in a polyamorous relationship and my partner is starting to date someone new. I'm struggling to process this alone and would like to talk it out with others. However, my partner is a very private person and our circle of friends is small. How do I honor the privacy of my partner while also fulfilling the type of support I need? Signed, External Processor.
I love this question.
Me too. I am also an external processor.
Yes, you are. So much so. I would just want to say, first things first, you did the right thing. You called us.
Yes.
You reached out for support so we can give you an alternative perspective. So that's super exciting.
Ding.
What do you got to say about this, though?
Well, I mean, actually, can you start?
Yeah, for sure. So one thing I want to say for starters is that there are actually lots of resources out there. And, you know, you could find a polyprocess group perhaps in your neighborhood, or there are groups online for this type of thing. You could look up on Meetup, and there's places where you can go and the spaces are held sacred. You know, confidentiality, care, these are things that are really important. Britt and I actually started a polyprocess group here in Portland.
We did.
And it's small right now. We're just being of service to those that need it, and we're allowing it to grow organically. Because when I was in LA, the poly process group that I went to was just so beautiful. First of all, like they held this container that was absolutely sacred. I could go with my partner and then partners and then several partners. At one point, we all went so that it was a space that we knew we can be confidential. We can speak our hearts, and had facilitators that knew how to hold that kind of container.
Yeah.
So I do want to offer that as a resource to y'all.
I loved Polyprocess when you invited me, and you guys just held such a safe space for it. Like I remember when I was in the friend group before we were dating, and like you guys had Polyprocess on your calendar for like and it was like, nope, can't do
every
it.
month.
Yeah, can't do it. Polyprocess, we have to sign up, you know, all the things, because of what a gift it was to your community. And so finding safe spaces in order where you can share your feelings is so important. So I definitely want to honor your request and your desire and your need. Like absolutely, like let's get this need met.
And what's it like being an external processor?
Well, I mean, you just need to talk things out, you know, and you need a safe space to do it. And something that I would love to offer is the resource of having a poly therapist. So I was so blessed. I had been working with a therapist for years, and yeah, I had worked with her for years, taken a break, and then it was like back in the midst of working with her post-trauma. And I was interested in you and interested in polyamory and da-da-da. And so I started talking to her about it, and she was like, are you having an issue with your metamor? And I was like, she knows metamor? And I was just like, excuse me, ma'am. Are you polyamorous? And it's like, you know, therapy, it's a one-way thing. It's like needed. And so like at that point she was like, yes, I'm polyamorous and I'm a polytherapist. And I was just like, oh, bless the goddess, because I am in the right chair. Like I had been working with her for years and it never came up. But then to be held in a space with someone where I didn't have to explain what polyamory was and just a lot of the nuance that comes with it, because I have heard of people having really unfortunate experiences where being like shamed or guilted or someone
or like making the problem polyamory.
Yeah, the problem is polyamory, and if you were just monogamous, then like you could save this marriage, you know, like those kinds of things. So to have such a safe space for me to really share my feelings with someone who was like in the trenches, more or less, you know, like in the world, in the language, she was able to point me to resources, other like poly meetup groups, other ways of like expressing myself and like learning about polyamory. Because at the time, you guys were the friends who I had who were poly, and you practiced more kitchen table polyamory. So I didn't know there were other kinds of polyamory. And then she was like, I remember I was having an experience with a metamor, and she was just like, you know, you guys like don't have to hang out. And I was just like, and she was like, there's lots of ways to practice polyamory. And she like taught me about parallel and it was just like, she was like, there's lots of ways. You have to find what feels good for you. So like, even just to have, it was just like, she was turning on the lights left and right. So would it be interesting to you? Would it be supportive to you to maybe explore what it would be like to work with a polytherapist?
Yeah.
Then you get an opportunity to talk it out. And this person is not in the friend circle, which I know you had mentioned.
Yeah. So that's brilliant because, that just, when people don't understand what you're creating, or it's, you know, it's different than the norm, then they'll blame that difference. So I love that. I also want to offer, you know, just talking to your partner and asking, is there someone in the friend group that you would feel comfortable with me talking to and that holding space with? Because, you know, just like an internal processor wants to keep their privacy, there's something to be said to your need being respected. Not everyone has the resources to even find a therapist. So is there someone in your friend group that it's like, hey, this is a person I go to discuss this, and they're that safe space? And then, you know, did you want to add to that?
Yeah. So I feel like this is a wonderful space to really explore with your partner, like, what does private mean? And not I guess kind of like why, what are all the whys in the privacy, and get to what is it that they need to feel safe, and is there a space where we can both lean in and your partner can hold you capable of sharing your experience of them without it being bashing, talking shit, the lower vibration things that would affect your friend group. Because I know for myself, when I've had experiences where I'm like, well, I don't want other people to know this, it's because I haven't wanted what this person said to affect your opinion of me, or, you just like want to hold certain things close because you're like, maybe this was a moment where I was a little confused and didn't show up in my best light, or I'm still really teasing things out and I don't want everyone's eyes on me as I'm like exploring and understanding more parts of myself. So is there a way that your partner can hold you capable of presenting and talking about you or the situation in a light that is neutral and coming from an ownership of this is my experience? Like, even the way you talk about it, are you saying, hey, I would love to share my experience of a disagreement I had with my partner. I would love to share my experience of a miscommunication.
Of them dating a new person. I'd like to share my experience of how this new partner is causing feelings in me, and I just want to be witnessed.
Yes.
And creating a container of, I'm going to say what I need to say, and I need you to see me in the ownership of my own feelings.
Yeah. I loved having a poly therapist, and there was something so just heartwarming and pivotal of like having a friend in the friend group, where I remember having an experience at a party where I got like deeply triggered, and like I had a friend who was able to like be there for me and was just like, girl, I see you, I got you, like I'm holding space. Like she wasn't passing judgment or saying anything about the other people involved in the situation. She wasn't like, yeah, fuck that bitch. She was just holding space for my feelings in the moment while I was triggered. And like, your therapist isn't usually with you at a party. So like having someone in the friend circle that you can just be like, I'm having something in this moment, I just need to be witness with it. That can be really, really powerful. So I would love to see if there's a win-win way for you guys to create that.
Yeah. And I'll just say, like, whether you're expressing it and sharing it or not, people can feel you're going through something. Like they can absolutely tell, like, ooh, this person's hurting.
Yeah.
And if they want to be there for you, and you're like, I can't talk about it because my partner says I can't talk about it, then it, borders on like, okay, are you in a good relationship? Like it causes more questions than answers. Yeah.
And I just want to, go down story lane because I am an external processor, as I mentioned, and there was an instance where Lisset was dating someone new, and this person was in the friend circle, and they were not ready yet to announce it to the other friends because it was like the very early stages of it.
Yeah.
And so they
wanted privacy.
They asked for privacy. And in those early stages, there was a miscommunication that happened, and I was triggered. Deeply triggered. So triggered. Like all the emotions are flying. Everything is up. And
I was her dad at some point.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're just like my father. And I'm like, really? 2 families? Because I double booked a Monday.
I was in it, y'all. Yeah. I was in it. And because they had asked for privacy, I didn't have any friends to talk about it with because they had asked for that privacy. So I was sitting with my feelings, and what a gift it was because I was not processing with other people. My normal ways of receiving support, like this, let me just spell it out for you. This was early in my spiritual journey, in my spiritual awakening. I wasn't necessarily at the place of like taking ownership of things. Definitely more victim of like, how fucking dare she and they and them. And like, if I had had the opportunity to tell my friends, it would have been like, tell me, fuck that bitch. and you should break up with her, and how dare she. Like, I was not in the space of like, let me listen to another side or perspective. It was like, burn it down. So because I was in that space and I didn't have the opportunity to, you know, get all fired up with friends, I really had to sit with my feelings. And me sitting with my feelings actually got me to the root cause of the wound. And the root cause was, what was it?
You're not special.
Not special. That's what it was. Yeah. See, I already forgot because we worked on it. So, but it was, I'm not special. And I don't know if I ever would have found that root had I not had the space and privacy to really explore what my feelings were about the situation before everybody else added their hot take. And so there can be a gift in just sitting and processing with yourself before you take it to other people. And again, this is a space of like, there's lots of ways to share with other people. There's ways of like, can you just witness me? And then there's ways of like, can you give me advice or validate my experience? Like, there's lots of different ways. But before we were getting to the advice and validating the experience, sometimes it's just like, can you sit with yourself? And it's like, what is it that's actually hurting about my partner dating someone new? Am I not feeling special? Am I not feeling worthy? Am I not feeling enough? Something like, because usually the wounds are deep, you know, when the things come up, and it's not just about, oh, you know, they're seeing someone, you know, because it's like, oh, they could have a new best friend and we don't have the same charge, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, what am I making it mean about me? And I was making her dating someone else a lot about what I made it think about me. I'm not special. She likes the same things I do. She knows about this restaurant. Like, you know?
Yeah, that was a trying time.
We made it through.
We did make it through. And, you know, I just want to remind you, the beauty of having this type of relationship is that things are up for negotiation and things are up for, you know, the feelings are complex. And so having the opportunity to even say to your partner, this is who I understand that you're private and this is who I am. Can you meet me there? And can you allow space for this to be just while I'm figuring all of this out? Because there's always the first new partner on the other side. And it just, I don't know. My experience.
What was your experience?
Oh, the first new partner that someone else had. Oh yeah, I actually early on with my first poly partner, she was interested in someone else, and then she was more interested in me. So I felt like I kind of won, you know. Not that it was a competition, but that was still my monogamous brain kicking in. And then when she liked someone new after that, it was like, ooh, there was a lot of breathing exercise. There was a lot of fury and a lot of anger and not feeling enough, or there's not enough for me. You know, if they sleep with someone else, then I'm not going to feel loved. And I had to go through it's a rite of passage. We go through that experience and we feel our feelings and we come out the other side. And that partner just made me feel so loved after she was with someone else. And it was just like that reminder of like, no, our relationship dynamic does not change because someone else has come into your life. And that's not to say that it doesn't fully change, because time and dividing time, and there's that, like, I wish I was hanging out with you this night, but you're hanging out with someone else. Those are real feelings. But it was beautiful to just get to the other side of that. Yeah. Wasn't it nice getting to the other side of experiencing me with someone else?
It was very nice to get to the other side. Very nice.
Going through
was all the things. I mean, it was, I remember having that dance that one day. It was like 3 dances back to back. Me, my best friend, she danced with me because I couldn't talk to her, but it was like, it was all the things. I danced.
You danced it out.
I danced it out. I found ayahuasca came to me. She was like, let me get you, girl.
Yeah, you did some soul work.
Did some real deep soul work that I had been skirting for a really long time. Yeah. And so that's what I'm also saying is like, there's an invitation here to go within if you allow yourself to. Yeah. And like, this does not discredit you being an external processor or wanting spaces where you can actually share your feelings. It's a both and. I feel like, how can we invite going in and then finding the resources that feel good to share with on the out.
Absolutely. Just to piggyback that, like the wound is where the light gets in. So whatever you're experiencing is a beautiful opportunity to get to the other side. Because if it didn't hurt, then it wouldn't need healing.
Yeah. Would you say you're an internal or an external processor?
Oh, I'm pretty external. I needed to talk out my feelings a lot.
Yeah.
Super. But however, I had private partners, and they knew that I was going to someone else who like was a vault, and they understood that. And so through that, we built a lot of trust. It's just like, okay, I know that person knows a lot of our business. And that was the beauty of that partner, is that they were just they were a rock. There's nothing like having, for me, early on in my poly journey, I dated a lot of people who had several years of experience under their belt. And so as I was going through it, they were able to hold up a loving mirror of like, girl, been there. This too shall pass. Like, you will get to the other side. This is a rite of passage. So I always have to say my poly journey has been so blessed, but there's no reason everyone's can. Like, there's just so many resources out there. And, I'll always give them a shout out. Like, Multiamory has hundreds of episodes, and there's nothing you can be going through that they haven't discussed.
I know. Yeah. More than once.
Absolutely. And so, we're here and we love these poly questions coming through our field, and we're of course answering the best we can, but there are just so many resources out there for how to navigate this space.
So how specifically did you deal with triggers?
Well, circling back to like the poly process groups, there were times that going to the group with the partner that I was triggered by, and just knowing that like no one was here to judge me, and I had to like really express like, oh my God, they're dating this person and they want to spend Thanksgiving with them. We've spent every Thanksgiving with my family. I am hurting around this. And just having people there not make my feelings wrong, while also being like, it's okay. Like, they have a right to spend a holiday with a new partner. And it's just like, oh, what am I making it mean? What am I making it mean about me? Is it, are we pulling apart? Are we not? Are we going to make it? We did not make it in the end, but I don't think it's because of Thanksgiving. And there's something about just having space holders. People that you consider your friends. And even, I know you're talking about your friend group specifically, but just going outside a rung. Maybe it's not your type friends there, but maybe there's other poly people in your life that you can talk to, because again, talking to people in the same circle that are not experiencing the same thing as you is you're not going to get the best advice there.
No. And I can empathize with a partner who's like, hey, this is the friend circle. Maybe we all are poly, and maybe there's a lot of people who've dated, and maybe there's a lot of like overlap, and you're like, I just don't want all of these people knowing all the ins and outs of this situation, because I really already know so much already, and like wanting just a level of like not in that. So like honoring where everyone's at. I always feel like there's an opportunity to find a win-win-win. And like if we haven't found it yet, then like this is where it's like I ask the universe, like, where's our win-win-win? Show me the way, light the path. Let me know. Like, it holds space. We have a friend who used to say, it's like, hold space for the mystical third. Like, I have my point of view. You have your point of view. How do we hold space for the mystical third, God, energy, whatever, the source, to provide you an answer that maybe you haven't even thought of yet? And like allowing that energy to come in, because,
Yeah, and what you're bringing to mind for me is there's a difference between sharing your emotions and talking shit. And sometimes like private people or whatnot, they could be afraid that what's being shared is like talking shit to some degree. And there's a it's a spectrum. It's certainly a spectrum, but just, leaning into having your partner trust that you're just sharing your experience in a way that helps you digest it for yourself, so that you can be better for them. And I think at the end of the day, your partner wants you to feel good.
Yep.
Like they want you to feel good about everything that's happening. And so just asking for what you need, and finding that space, that mystical third.
Yes. You just bring up such a big point, which I feel like is so clutch in poly and can easily get lost for a lot of us, but asking for what you need. And like, I feel like that should be like everyone's like grounded center for polyamory and actually for life in general. Because a lot of us, we can get stuck in like people pleasing or like this is what they need. And so like my needs aren't as important or whatever the story may be about needs, but really getting clear of like, what do I need and asking for it. And then like someone can say no, and we can find ways to get to yeses and find things that feel good for us. But what I have learned doesn't serve any of us is you not asking for what you need. So have you asked your partner? Have you shared with your partner like, hey, it's important for me to be able to process this with other people. That is something that I need. So how can we find the yes and in this situation?
Yeah. Yeah. So are you suggesting being honest with each other?
This is brand new information.
Groundbreaking advice.
Being honest about your feels. Yes, I am suggesting that.
Yeah. It always comes down to that.
I know.
And that's from the beginning of this, what we're looking for is a space where you can be honest. And that's all you're asking for. And so I'm sending you all the love.
Yes.
All the love, all the well wishes. Thank you for reaching out to us. We love being your friend and being in your corner. And I just trust that you're going to get what you need as long as you express it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for writing in. We so appreciate you. And if you have a question, feel free to text or call us 971-895-4111. Or you can send us a DM on Instagram at Honest Feedback Podcast. We love hearing from you. We have amazing episodes coming up and we want to keep making magic happen. So get at us.
Yeah. And until we meet again, be honest with each other.
Bye.